I agree with you. And I want to just say something here because you are up for reelection. And I got to say, I've known Congressman Tim Murphy for a very, very long time. And while we may have disagreed on some very minor issues, and we've talked about them, I don't even recall what they were because that's how minor they were. For them, I feel confident knowing that we have someone like Tim Murphy serving us in Washington, D.C. And I want, because he doesn't say this, and he won't toot his own horn, but I'm going to. Do you know that he has just re-enlisted in the Navy? And I want to thank you for that.
Wow.
That is
no
so,
idea.
because, he wanted to, you're a psychologist, and,
Yes.
and you wanted to be able to perform those duties to those who serve, and you could only do that by re-enlisting, and you did.
Well, but to clarify, I actually enlisted for the first time in the summer of '09. I had not served before. Had to get a waiver to do that, but I was concerned about the high number of post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injury cases were coming through. And while we were seeing the numbers in literally a couple 100,000 cases, it's not the kind of thing that you want to put someone on a waiting list when they may be on a suicide watch or dealing with depression or anxiety or worries.
Wow.
I know that with PTSD, it's diagnosable, it's treatable, and the idea is get to these servicemen and women quickly, provide the care that they need, and their prognosis is terrific. But I just reached a point where I said I couldn't sit back anymore. Now, I got to thank people for letting me do that too, because that's a lot of time away that I have to do that. So between my congressional duties or being back home or those sorts of things, it's more time. But I would certainly hope that other people who have some skills in the medical area would also step up, because we really need people with those kind of skills to help our wounded when they come back.
I just think it's really good. And besides that, you are you've got the experience to be where you are in D.C. You really understand the issues. You're not afraid to stand up to those issues and defend those. And I appreciate the job that you've been doing. I think it's been a great job.
You bet, Rose. Thank you.
And I want to just, you know what? I wonder if you can stay on, because, the other day we had a discussion about Marcellus Shale, and that's been a big subject here on the show. Can you stay with us, or do you need to go?
Sure, I can stay for a little bit. I mean, I'm in a vehicle, so I'll try and pull over if we start making too much noise.
Okay,
right.
Hold on a second.
Fair enough. We'll be right back. Back to Congressman Tom Murphy.
Yeah, we, I wanted to just talk briefly about Marcellus Shale, the oil company that's been coming into Pittsburgh, and the potential for jobs here is just absolutely amazing, and revenues coming through the state. And I know that you support that. And, really, Congressman, it seems to me that that probably just about everyone really supports it, except for those fringe environmentalist groups. I mean, they've played commercials on our station protesting.
I'd like to know where they get their money for that.
Well, with regard to the Marcellus Shale, I mean, various parts of the country have large deposits of natural gas. This is a shale that's about 8,000 to 10,000 feet below the surface, and it's in New York, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, Northern Virginia. It is huge. And has massive potential for all those states in their economy. New York has decided to have a moratorium on drilling for a while. West Virginia has some. Pennsylvania is booming. And already there's between 40 to 50,000 jobs attributed to the Marcellus Shale, and they expect that to go upwards of 200,000 jobs over the next several years. And these are long-term producing wells and long-term jobs, because they'll be probably drilling here for the next few decades for this. The issue raised by some environmentalists are that when the drilling takes place, because you're drilling through the water table, does the drilling process itself and the fluids that are injected in taint the well water? And over 1.5 million wells, even the Department of Environmental Protection has said that has not occurred, because it has to be encased in steel pipe and concrete, with the water table being between 0 and 700 feet below the surface. You drill through that, and then you go down 8,000 to 10,000 feet, and that's when it turns horizontally and it fractures the shale, and that's when the natural gas is released. The concern has to do with the fluids that are pumped in there, which is 99, I think 0.8% water and sand, and the rest is some other things like lubricants, antibacterial agents, and some anti-scaling agents. And they have asked that those chemicals be released in terms of what they are, and those are posted on websites. They want to know the exact formulas of those in terms of how much the ratio is, and there's work being done by some companies where they're releasing that. But the long and short of it is this. if someone does dump those chemicals in water areas, that's illegal. And I think all of us would say you can't be doing that. There should be fines or other things that you can't taint the water. None of us want any pollution there. But let's be honest about that, and to say that somehow they're actually out there polluting well water is a stretch, and it's simply inaccurate.
Well, and it amazes me who it is that's behind this. You've got the Sandlers and their ProPublica website, and you've got George Soros money involved in this, and you've got the governor of Pennsylvania signing an executive order to prevent it on public land.
And in addition to that, Tim, you told me a story that I found quite interesting, is that as the Marcellus is meeting with people in different locations, in different communities, we've got that group following them.
Right. There are groups that show up in different communities. And some of them are elected officials in different communities that show up to protest. And yet some of the other communities will actually say, look, if you're not from our town, you don't get to come to the microphone and speak. This is for the citizens of that town. Because various towns should have their own ordinances, and they should be able to say, because there's a lot of truck traffic that occurs with this, and they have sound ordinances, et cetera. And all those are reasonable for the local officials to have jurisdiction to say, if you're going to drill here, we want to make sure you follow our ordinances here. But to have other groups travel around and stop that, I think that's for the local community to say, wait a minute, this is a chance for some of our farmers who have been struggling for since the Depression to really make their farms work and properly, are not making money, or for other homeowners or communities when there's drilling that takes place in other areas too. This is a big income thing for them, and they want to decide their own future. But no one is going to tolerate anybody cutting corners or making loopholes with regard to environmental or safety issues. It's just not something that, I wouldn't tolerate it.
We have to wrap this up, but yeah, you're right. And I think it's important for people to know that these are people that aren't even part of those communities that are really causing some trouble every time these the people of the community come together to meet and discuss how it would affect their town or their community. So anyway, thanks for all of your hard work. Thank you for staying on top of those issues. We need you as an advocate for us. So thank you very much, Congressman.
Thank you, bro. You do too, folks. Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you, Tim Murphy. Congressman Tim Murphy off to do whatever else he's got to do this morning, and it's probably